No, those are private. Because the Banyankore say okusima eka, okusima omuntu, okusima eka, to appreciate.
Say, the first memory is that walking on the road, because he was at Chamati at the time, but at a boarding school, and at a boys' school, and I was at a girls' school, and meeting on the road is the first memory of meeting him, seeing him, knowing him. But his mother was related to my mother, so he also, remember, he talks about a time he came to our home, and then we didn't really meet for a long time.
No, Mama, we were together at 1950. Because her father died 1955, and I took milk and some story there to the funeral. Then I think they had been studying on the Kajara side, where her father was working. Kajara, Rwashameire, Bongera. So that's when I started seeing her, 1958. Then, of course, that was the year I went to Mbara High School. The following year. Then they stayed. And then later on, I came to see her again in 1970.
Uganda was very, very difficult and really dark. Life was very difficult and very insecure. The country was very insecure, the people were insecure. And it's about that time that we left Uganda, and I lived with my cousin John Kazora and his family in Kenya for some time, because people were getting lost and they hear so-and-so has been killed, so-and-so has been taken away, and you don't know where they are taken away. And so life was very, very challenging. So that's when I finally met my husband and got married, and we had to move to Tanzania. So that's where our life as a family started, now with Museveni.
Why Tanzania?
Why? Because that's where Yor was living already and preparing to fight the Amin's regime.
When Idi Amin came in 1971, Ugandans, as they always do, they gave him the benefit of doubt. unfortunately, Amin became the real nightmare that Uganda had never seen.
Before the coup, he had been
He was the army commander. And somebody who, when we are told, was a very amiable fellow. He liked to play his accordion, to merry-make, and on the surface, a very human person. But when he took power, any threat to that power, whether perceived or real, was countered with violence, with killings, and so many Ugandans went into exile. And the country really started spiraling downward.
Because the Amin regime did not respect the rule of law, you can say the judiciary was weakened. How? First, they did not take people to court. For them, it was summary justice. Secondly, the military created military tribunals to try murder and treason outside the court system. They tried economic crimes tribunals to try economic crimes like smuggling, hoarding, and overcharging. So the military tried to, what shall I say, work outside the judiciary. Thirdly, there was intimidation. Judges feared to take some decisions. Lawyers feared to represent people.
It was terror. It was terror because, unfortunately, by the time Amin took over, many of the key military leaders were from Acholi. And it became the threat that the military regime feared most. And linked to that, anybody who could express himself also became a threat. And so while initially it was the key military people, Acholis and the Langis and other tribes in the military who were targeted, Amin later realized that getting rid of those people was not enough. Even those who were not in the military did not embrace him the way he wanted, and he saw them as threats. And so running into exile was the safest thing that most Ugandans across the communities would do.
I see. I was here when Benedict Nakanka was killed. I was at the Lodome Center, September 72. I was a senior lecturer at the Lodome Center when Kiwanuka was killed. We were told, the Chief Justice has been seized and taken. Once they seize you, you are gone. And I witnessed the trial of Archbishop Rumu at Nairobi Mansion. When Amin was making a statement, all heads of institutions had to be there. If you're not there, you're killed. Yes, because you don't support Amin. So we went there, witnessed. They were trying the room. You had guns. They were reading charges on him at Nairobi. After that, I felt so sad. I just went home because they went inside there now to have a discussion about what. The evening we heard that a woman had been killed, Oriem and Oboth Ofumbi. I was here in this country, 77. I was at Lord Women's Center.
The situation was so bad that even if you just kept quiet and lay low, it was no guarantee that you would see tomorrow. especially the youth that time, if you had been to school. The security service members thought those who have been to school are looking down upon them, they are illiterate. And so a lot of young people either got badly mistreated or some even lost their lives just because you share school ID.
But you know, you could teach at Makerere without being paid. Yes, they were not. Everybody had run out, and so they said, "You come and help us to teach here." I thought all these people I'm talking about, Chenfoza's son, I taught second year law. I was not paid money. There's no money. Just come and help us, please. We need these lawyers to graduate. Lecturers have all gone to exile. It's difficult.
One day, one of my uncle was an officer in the army in Lubiri called Okuyi Peter. A military vehicle came with troops inside, and this uncle was for leave. Around 10 in the morning, he saw a vehicle come in the compound. So he got up to receive these visitors. He said, those are the people I work with. And we were taking tea. From nowhere, I had bullet. He was shot as he was going to receive them. Can you imagine? Then I also got stuck on the chair. I got paralyzed. I could not run. And it is there the man fell down. It was a film. They ran and carried the body and threw in the car. I remained on the chair with my child. They didn't even talk to me. And they drove off with the body. Up to today, we have not seen the body. I think that was my turning point, to have a total dislike of that regime.
So our line was, let's unite the people. Because Amin is against all of you. He is a dictator. For you, you say you are people of democracy, of votes. Okay, let's now unite. Let's form a united front. But Obote was saying, no, because I'm supported by Nyerere, it should be UPC to fight alone and impose itself on the Ugandans. Say, but you are now recruiting the others for Amin. Because if you leave them out, they get worried about you. And that's how some of them were working with Amin, like Benichwanuk and others. Let them come. And we form a broad front, and we so Obote refuses that. That's how we said, okay, for us, let's form our own group from us. This group is formed, but our aim is to unite everybody. I was sure they knew us already, because when we were coming, I saw a push of 4, they were called 404 estate. Now this same vehicle overtook us, and somebody looked inside and continued. But Martin said, no, they will not know us. They will not know us because we had card, we had false card, identity cards. When we came out, we stood there. That's where this Kasumoro man, who was like a Kakwa, I think, small and dark, asked me, "Who are you?" So I said, "We are students." Then he said, "Who has got the key of the car?" So I said, "I'm the one with the key." So that's what, then he said, "Open the car." I went as if I was going to opened the car, then I jumped over the fence. I mainly feel anger rather than and determination to defeat the enemy. Amin had defeated us in 72. This was a mistake of some of our people, the invasion. So this one was our own Fronasa plan to start guerrilla fighting in 1973. If we had not had these mistakes, we had some few guns, we had almost like 100 guns inside Uganda. We could have started with those. But these mistakes disorganized us. And when I went back, 73, that's how I got involved with Mama. And then 74, I had to do some teaching in Moshi, but I was still coordinating. That's why I chose Moshi. Moshi was near Nairobi. I could go on the weekend to Nairobi, meet my people, go back. Then 76, that's when we resumed. The Tanzanian government contacted me again through Mr. Sokoine, the Minister of Defense, and they said we could organize again. Then I linked up with the new people, Mbabazi, Otafuire, other people. So by 75, we had revived our internal network. Now, this is the one I used in 76, when the chance came to recruit the 28, partly from here, partly from Nairobi.
I got a temporary teaching job in a primary school, Itendero Muslim Primary School. Some of you might know it. It's on the highway between Mbarara to Rushenyi Shaka. And so term 1, term 2, holiday of term 2 is when I am approached by the individuals that were working undercover for Fronasa, and I got recruited.
There was recruitment of people against the government. And I heard somebody called Yoweri Museveni was training people in Acholi land, a place called Awere. When I was in Lira, and people were going to join him, there are multiple recruitment. There are those ones going for Museveni. Then there are some recruitment for Obote being done by some people.
It was also, I think, a very, very well thought out decision on behalf of Fronasa to approach me. And I think in the same way they approached the other 27 of my class. What are these young people's outlook towards life? What would they think if they were given such information? Would they run to report? Would they hold on to it and digest it? So finally, I think they debated and decided they could approach me.
I approached one person who happened to be one Zoyon. Then I approached him and said, about fighting, I mean, what are you saying? Say, for me, I'm over willing. If I get somebody who wants to fight this regime, I would join. Because me, I see no future. All my people in the north, they are being killed. And now, the killing is even going all over Uganda now. At the beginning, it started with the northern. It came to Buganda, it came to Angola, it came to the whole Uganda, even to West Nile people.
The entry point of the recruiter was, are you enjoying what you are doing? Certainly, I said, of course not. Why? I couldn't go further school. Why? There were no teachers. Why? They had either been killed or they had gone into exile. Why? The state, they had to run away from Idi Amin's government. Why? I mean, it has an army, has weapons, has, yeah, but we can change this status, this state of affairs. Are you willing to join us? I say, but how do you do this? I say, well, we can bear arms and throw him out, like he's using arms to destroy our country. And I thought about it, and that's how I was recruited. I accepted. After that, a short while, I think it was a few weeks later, I was picked up by Mr. Karokora, my recruiter. I had another young man, Richard Mugaba Mari. Then he takes us out of Bushenyi, hands us over to Mr. Otafire in Ishaka. And then Mr. Otafire brings us all the way into Kampala, hands us over to another colleague, I think was James Doy. Mr. Doy takes us all the way into Kenya, but we had split at the border. We had another group coming from northern and eastern Uganda. Total maybe about 8-10 of us. So Mr. Doy had to shepherd us across the border. And at the border we had split, but we all got information where the bus stops, we should wait there. Yeah, and that is how we got into Kenya. Finally, everybody reassembled. And yeah.
I entered from Busia. Busia, I just cruised to find myself in Kenya. They told me after crossing Busia, you go and buy a cloth from Kenya. You know, these clothes that we put on resembles, they can see this Ugandan dressing. Can even lick you, your own dressing before even somebody. So he told me, you change the clothes, then those one you throw in a pillar train. I was not a pure rebel now. And that time, I mean, was putting people in firing squad. They are called guerrillas. So I was already guerrilla. My action was subversion, trial by death. So I knew the danger now.
When we arrived in Nairobi, we are picked up by somebody I didn't know and never met before. And this is the same person that led us out of Nairobi into Tanzania, whom I later got to know was Mr. Museveni.
Then we reached Nairobi in the house. That's when I saw Muse. He came and said, now you people, we are freedom fighters. President Yoweri Museveni, that time I was the president. I'm Yoweri Museveni, I'm your leader. I'm the political leader, and the military wing is you people. So you are the nuclear. Never did they know he had tried another group in Gulu, failed. He also tried fighting on 71. They got defeated in Mbarara. So I think we are the third group.
Because I had trained 3 groups with Frelimo before the 28. There were 3. There was a group of 5 who included Martin Mwesiga. There was a group of 14 who included Maumbe Mkwana, the husband of this lady here, and Seguya. There was a group of 53 Bagisu boys who became indisciplined, and Samora disbanded them. So this was the 4th. But the nuclear, this 28, had now created the new Fronasa, the bigger one, the one of the 9,000 now. So those who fell out were replaced by many more Like, for instance, the group, the 300 whom were sent to Monduli during the transitional period. That's where the Tumuines were, Kutesa Pecos, Joram Mugume, Kashaka Stephen. They were part of that, not part of the 28, but part of the 9,000.
By the time we are now assembling, we are in Nairobi, I think even in Nairobi, we could not disclose our real identity. So we had taken an assumed name that everybody around the group would know, not your real name. The reason being, in case one of us deserted, or in case one of us was an enemy agent, or even if he was not an enemy, but he deserted, and going back home, he says, I found Ivan Koreta, I found Saleh, I found Edi, I found Odongo. Then the repercussions were that the families of Koreta would all be rounded up, of course, be badly tortured, and eventually be killed.
So the names you get from my group, those are jargon names. Then Saleh said, I'm Salim Saleh. Then Mure also, then all from Pepino. The one who recruited called himself Zoyone. So we didn't know the actual name. So that's how we got the name. Ivan Koreta, Fred Rujema. Those are the names we gave to ourselves.
And you?
Me, I remain Bosco, Rangi. Rangi means Majan. Because my father, my namesake, was called Omure Rangi. So I put myself Rangi Bosco. Yeah. So we moved.
And when we got in, we waited a few more weeks. A few others were coming, 2 here, 1 there. And I think it must have been middle of December, or the second week, I think, or third week of December. Then we were led across the river Ruvuma, the border with Tanzania and Mozambique. And we went on foot for several days and several nights, and got picked up by truck and taken to Montepuez military camp, which became our school for the time we were in Mozambique.
When we reached Montepuez, that camp was formerly for commandos, for the Portuguese. So let Samora turn it to train his people, and then he offered that camp to us, to Mose. I think he was preparing us for a bigger thing, but gradual, because we all came all from different backgrounds, but now he was uniting us. That's a proper leadership. To the point none of us want to escape. He was not telling us that you failed to escape. No. So we find ourselves being more solid.